Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Masterclass series. Today we have Dr. Barry Sandler here to discuss the Quick Start Guide to Healthspan. Stick around for the end of his presentation and we will have a live Q&A as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. Barry Sandler. I'm a Healthspan physician in our Healthspan program and wanted to give one of our first lectures on this kind of quick start guide to Healthspan. I want it to be informative and somewhat non-scientific. I want it to be easy to understand. And there's so much information behind Healthspan and so much research and so much stuff you can find online. And it all gets pretty confusing. So I wanted to kind of lay it out there and how do I kind of get started. I've had several clients already say, well, I'm kind of not completing the Thrive and my labs and my nutritional assessment for several weeks. So how do I kind of get started? What can I do until I get my whole plan set up? So here's a kind of quick start guide for Healthspan. Just a couple of quick definitions. First, we all know that longevity is the total number of years in your life, kind of the quantity of life, where Healthspan is the quality of life. We want to maximize quality in young, middle, and older age to make sure we're strong and healthy and happy in our later years. This is like putting money in the bank into this piggy bank. It's like adding to your 401k, assuring that you have, stability and strength at the end of your life. This is kind of a cool XY graph that we like that just shows health span on the y-axis and lifespan or length of life on the x-axis at the bottom. And average population kind of cruises along early and middle life and has a gradual but constant descend in their quality of life towards the end of their life. But the goal is to kind of compress this morbidity on the right side towards, having very little illness and morbidity at the end of your life. This little blip at the end may represent like a fall with a hip fracture. You spend some time in the hospital, go to a rehab center. That may extend your lifespan, but people don't tend to improve their quality of life at the end when they start having serious illness and injury. So we want to avoid that stuff at the end. I like to think of lifestyle and health span as about 80% controllable. About 80% of health span is easily manipulated by what you do, how you live your life. And I think nutrition and exercise accounts for most of that stuff. I think genetics account for about 20% of your health fate. We used to think that genetics kind of played the biggest part in our illness and injury risk factors, but we now know that that's not true. These things are completely in your control. And the biggest control within lifestyle is nutrition and exercise. We think of nutrition as medicine and exercise as medicine. Those two things carry the heaviest weight in lifestyle management. They regulate your metabolic health. So that's kind of the ground zero for aging. How metabolically healthy and flexible you are manages and controls how happy you are and how you can live your life and do the things you want to do and live long and strong. Nutrition and exercise influence inflammation, mitochondrial health, epigenetics. That's the expression of genes is epigenetics. So if my father is an alcoholic, it doesn't mean I'm an alcoholic for sure. It means that I'm genetically loaded or predisposed to alcoholism. But if I don't go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of vodka, or I don't join my friends at the bar, then I don't necessarily have to become an alcoholic. Then we talk about oxidative stress. You hear and read a lot about oxidative stress. And I have a quick slide about that just to kind of understand. It's a little bit scientific, but I don't want to get too technical. But essentially, oxidative stress is when your body forms these free radicals. We see reactive oxygen species, ROS. Those build up in your blood from smoking, poor diet, excessive alcohol, stress, lack of sleep, lack of exercise. They're unstable molecules that contribute to inflammation in your blood vessel walls. So there's like 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body, which is amazing to think about. And when you have inflammation or oxidative stress within your endothelium, that's the lining of your blood vessels, that's what causes disease. Most diseases are caused from endothelial inflammation. It's kind of a cool way to think about it. It's the cause of hypertension. It's the cause of high cholesterol or high lipids, dyslipidemia, we call it. These are from lifestyle choices. It's not essential hypertension. That means primary hypertension. We used to think that high blood pressure was genetic because my mom has high blood pressure. That's why I have blood pressure. Hypertension. There's nothing I can do about it. That's absolutely not true. These are lifestyle diseases. So antioxidants, how we combat these free radicals or oxidative stress, come from food like vitamin C in berries and citrus, vitamin E in nuts and seeds, plant compounds like polyphenols in tea, turmeric, and garlic. These are great items to cook with. The body also makes antioxidants like glutathione. CoQ10 is made in the body. It's also a supplement that we can take, and I recommend that to everybody. And there's something called superoxide dismutase that's made by the body, not easily supplemented, but lifestyle strategies also promote antioxidant formation in the body, like stress. We say stress, like stressing your body via exercise or via sauna or cold plunge. Exercise is a form of stress. We call it hormesis. This is doing difficult things to make you stronger, and it's very physiologic. It's not just a cool saying. So diseases that occur when these things get out of balance, when there's too many free radicals or oxidative stress in your body, is most diseases that we think about and know about. Hypertension, hyperlipidemia, cardiovascular disease like coronary artery disease or peripheral artery disease, different forms of dementia, Alzheimer's. Some people refer to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia as type 3 diabetes. It's a metabolic disorder from inflammation in your blood vessels from poor lifestyle choices. Type 2 diabetes is 100% a lifestyle disease. Many cancers are from lifestyle, chronic inflammation. These things all accelerate aging and reduce health span. Peter Attia, a famous author in this field, likes to talk about the 4 horsemen of chronic disease. These are the 4 things that we work hard to avoid, and the 4 things that will most likely take all of us. But if you can put these off as long as possible, you're in good shape. So it's atherosclerosis, like heart disease and stroke. Most of those are kind of the same mechanism where you get narrowing of your blood vessels. Same with peripheral artery disease, narrowing of your blood vessels from endothelial inflammation and blood clot formation or decreased blood flow. Metabolic disorders like insulin resistance and diabetes, obesity, hypertension, that's metabolic syndrome. Neurodegenerative disease, like many types of dementia and many kinds of cancer are really lifestyle driven. So what's the quickest way to get on board with Healthspan and to get healthy and stay healthy is increase your VO2 max and increase your muscle strength and muscle mass. So VO2 max is one of the things that we test here during our Thrive assessment with our PNOE devices. That's the volume of oxygen you can use. Breathe it in, get it through your muscles, through all your organs, and then expire it through carbon dioxide divided by your weight. So to lose 5 pounds, your VO2 max will go up. Even if your cardiovascular strength doesn't change at all, your VO2 max will go up just by losing weight. That's why these distance runners and ultra athletes want to be as light as possible to increase their VO2 max. It's the strongest predictor of cardiovascular and metabolic health, really, is the VO2 max. So the higher your VO2 max, the lower your risk of death from all causes. Ways to increase this is like aerobic training, biking, running, cross-country skiing, stuff like that. HIIT is high-intensity interval training, so doing a difficult exercise for 30 or 40 seconds, brief rest for 10 or 20 seconds, and then back at it for a minute, stuff like that. Zone 2 training is really important. The more we learn about what works best in exercise, that's just getting your heart rate up to 100, 110, 115, and kind of staying there for the grind for an hour or so on the Peloton or outdoor on your mountain bike or trail running. You don't have to go all out or really beat yourself up every single workout. We know that the best way to burn fat and increase your metabolism is by zone 2 training. Cross training is really important. Sauna, recovery, these things all increase your VO2 max. And then muscle mass and muscle strength are the next most but super important thing. physical resilience preserves independence. These are like words to live by. You need to maintain your mobility, your metabolic health, resist sarcopenia. That's gradual muscle loss over time. Everybody loses muscle over time, but it can be slower and gradual if you try. Muscle mass and strength increases your mitochondrial volume, so that's where your energy comes from, your ATP production. It's good for bone density and hormone sensitivity. So again, the higher your muscle mass, the lower your all-cause mortality, including cardiovascular disease and cancer. Kyler gave a nice lecture recently on optimizing metabolic health, so I won't go through this stuff in complete detail, but it's super important. Day to day, when you get up in the morning, you want to think about what healthy food am I going to eat today? What am I going to do to maintain my metabolism? What am I going to do exercise-wise the night before, the day before? You need to plan your day. You need to meal prep. It's super important to bring your own food, not be subject to the garbage that you see at work or you walk by and grab a donut, but you need to bring your own snacks and make your own healthy food. I like to say eat real food, eat whole food, like an apple, like a steak, like broccoli. These are real whole foods that are really good for you, very nutrient dense. And you want to eat low glycemic index foods. So something with a high glycemic index, like white rice, for example, will raise your blood sugar really fast. And then your blood sugar crashes and you feel lousy, you get tired, and you need that afternoon nap. If you eat low glycemic foods, like try to fill your plate with vegetables, fruit, and healthy proteins, you get a very steady blood sugar. And you don't get that kind of alteration in your blood sugar and in your and how you feel, your energy level throughout the day. It's important to exercise every day or most days. If you plan to exercise every day and you're sick one day or you have too much going on one day, 6 days a week is okay, but it's important to exercise most days of the week. We know that sleep is super important for recovery. All your hormones are created at night during your sleep. You need to recover from your workouts. Your brain grows, neuroplasticity and neurogenesis occurs at nighttime while you're sleeping. So really important to prioritize sleep. With everybody's busy schedule, the easiest thing for me to do is just set my alarm for 5:30 and get up and work out before work. Really important to manage your stress levels. So when your stress increases, your cortisol increases. That's like a stress hormone that leads to increased fat around your organs. And that is metabolically active. That decreases your metabolism, increases hypertension risk, hyperlipidemia, high cholesterol, and is really important to kind of manage your stress in whatever way you can, whether that's yoga, meditation, deep breathing exercises. Exercise for me is like a form of meditation. I like to get on my mountain bike and just ride and not think about anything else except avoiding that next rock or that next climb coming up. Kind of be no-minded or one-mindedness is an important technique to have. Caloric restriction is important in intermittent fasting. It's hard to balance this stuff sometimes when you are exercising a lot. And I'm always trying to figure out, should I not eat till noon? But what about all this protein that I'm supposed to take? And it's hard to get, 1 gram per pound of protein. And so I think that's where our nutrition and strength coaches can offer awesome advice on helping to balance those two things. But intermittent fasting is really trying to condense your eating into, say, 8 hours per day. If you can hold off your first meal until like 10 a.m., eat regularly scheduled. You can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner up until 6 p.m., and then nothing from 6 p.m. until the next 10 a.m. And that allows your body to really utilize your calories appropriately and efficiently and creates this metabolic flexibility. That's the ability to switch between carbohydrate metabolism and fat metabolism. And it's important to have that skill. Another way that some people will eat kind of pretty healthy 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week, maybe just on the weekend or something, eat very, very low calories. So there's fasting mimicking diets where you just eat like broth and vegetables, just very low calories, like under 500 calories per day. It's just another way to reduce your weekly calories. Really important to maintain gut health and your gut microbiome. We know that a lot of your metabolism comes from your big, diverse gut microbiome. And we know that like over 90% of your serotonin, this kind of happy hormone neurotransmitter, is in your intestine. It's not in your brain. This stuff comes from your gut. Ways to keep your microbiome healthy is eating probiotic-rich foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, whatever kind of fermented foods that you like. And then prebiotic foods are foods that are rich in fiber, like fruits and vegetables, to support those healthy gut bacteria. Really important to stay hydrated, of course. You want to drink throughout the day. Dehydration kills metabolism, so it's important to, people ask me, how much should I drink per day? Is it 8 glasses? Is it 10? Is it more? You can absolutely drink too much water, so you can drive your serum sodium, your blood sodium, really low and have seizures if you drink too much water. So I would say just kind of drink enough water that you're not feeling thirsty and that your urine's pretty clear. A quick approach to nutrition is to kind of start with a Mediterranean diet, and that's prioritizing healthy fats like fish, fruits and vegetables, and nuts and whole grains. Olive oil and avocado oil are the two oils that I recommend to everybody, and you really shouldn't be using many other oils to cook with or to eat. Coconut oil is okay. It's pretty high in calorie, but is not very pro-inflammatory like seed oils and other highly processed oils that are really bad for you and cause inflammation. That's kind of everywhere in the American diet. Everything that's fried at a restaurant, salad dressings that you buy over the counter at the grocery store, they all have these seed oils that are really pro-inflammatory, and important to stay away from those things. I just make my own salad dressing at home. It's really easy. Moderate seafood intake is stressed in the Mediterranean diet, like tuna, salmon. These are high in omega-3 fatty acids. We'll talk more about omega-3 fish oils in a little bit. The Mediterranean diet does allow some red meat. I think red meat is really nutrient dense, and if you don't have a lot of other cardiovascular risk factors like smoking, diabetes, hypertension, it's fine to eat red meat. I see patients that are on a carnivore diet and they say, oh, I'm sure my cholesterol is going to be all screwed up. I'm on a carnivore diet, and we do their labs and they're completely normal. So if you think kind of back in the years and centuries and millennia, this is what we ate all the time, right? Plants and animals. And I think that's what we should be eating most of the time. I think chicken and fish is really good, and some red meat is completely fine. Mediterraneans do stress moderate wine consumption. I put 2 question marks next to it, and there's not too many people in the room at me, so nobody can throw anything at me for saying that you shouldn't drink any alcohol, but you shouldn't drink any alcohol. We know that alcohol is toxic to every cell in your body, interrupts cellular metabolism in every single cell, your brain cells, your heart, your skin cells, your gut, everything. So, people say, well, what about the resveratrol in red wine? That can be supplemented in a pill now, and the benefits and risk ratio do not, add up. It's not worth it to drink wine just to get the resveratrol. A lot of people, I know it's really important. It's a huge part of world culture and human cultures to drink alcohol and wine, but the less wine you can drink, the better when it comes to Healthspan. And of course, it's really important to be as active as you can. We've also had some lectures and have some more lectures coming up on anti-inflammatory nutrition, so I won't focus too much on this slide, but it's nice to hear it again that you need to prioritize whole food, increase olive oil, omega-3 fatty acids, green vegetables, berries. Great anti-inflammatory supplements are, again, omega-3 fish oil, CoQ10. That's, like we said, is made in the body, but it's important to supplement this as well. It has potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. Turmeric is the spice. Curcumin is the molecule that's in the turmeric that it has really good anti-inflammatory properties. Probiotics, vitamin D, magnesium, and resveratrol. It's important to limit your sugar intake and refined carbohydrates like flour. White rice is very refined and spikes most people's blood sugar and causes inflammation. You want to avoid processed meats that have a lot of nitrates in it, like lunch meats, stuff like that. Most hams are highly processed, and besides being really salty, they tend to have a lot of preservatives in them. And stay hydrated, like we've already talked about. You'll learn a lot more about exercise in the Healthspan program from our awesome strength coaches, but these are just some kind of general principles of Healthspan focused exercise. Really important to strength train several days a week. Of course, aerobic exercise is really important. HIIT training, like we've mentioned, mobility and flexibility. That's been my biggest challenge in the workouts I get from my strength coach is doing the mobility and flexibility stuff. It's hard for me. I've always been immobile and pretty stiff. But I do it because I like doing hard things, and I know it's really important. Balance and stability training is really important. Just as we age, that we want to decrease our risk for falls. I saw a recent statistic like a single hip fracture in an elderly person has about a 30% mortality. So you will die from the hip fracture. You'll get in the hospital, you have a blood clot, or develop pneumonia or some other hospital-acquired infection in the hospital. And die from a simple hip fracture that should be easily fixed. NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's stuff like gardening, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, standing at your desk instead of sitting all day long. It's a great way to kind of increase your metabolism throughout the day. And mind-body practices, again, really important to be able to relax, meditate, during the day, take a short break during lunch, or in the evening when you're just chilling out at home, to be able to have that ability to focus and meditate is really important. Some stress management techniques. Exercise is great for me to manage my stress. Relaxation techniques like yoga, Tai Chi are great. Time management is a great way to manage your stress. If you have 12 things to do today, it's stressful to look at your full schedule and how am I going to get all these things done? I have school, I have work, I have to pick up the kids. What about my nutrition? What about my exercise? What about my spouse? So managing your time is really important. Social contacts are really important to have a good social support network. We know that's important in Healthspan and happiness. Cognitive restructuring is a kind of a way to deal with your stress throughout the day. We have a huge network of behavioral health providers here at Val Health that can help if you need assistance reframing your stress. And then just having happy and healthy lifestyle choices can support your stress, of course. Sleep and recovery, we talked about it. We know how important sleep and recovery is. You can have the best workout, hit all your goals for exercise, but if you're not recovering and not sleeping, it's not going to help, and it's going to hurt you because your body will have too much stress and not enough ability to recover. It's important to get to bed every night at the same time. So sleep consistency, the more we learn about circadian rhythms and sleep, it's really important to set your watch or your phone for it's bedtime. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it and go to bed. Sleep environment is a good thing to control. Cool, dark room, no iPad or phone in bed. Keep the TV off in bed. Afternoon naps are okay if you need it, as long as it's not affecting your circadian rhythms and if it doesn't affect your ability to fall asleep at nighttime, but can be a very helpful way to boost energy and improve mood. Avoiding stimulants is really important after 1 p.m. So caffeine has about 6.5 hour half-life. So that's just like half of the caffeine. If you have a cup of coffee at 1, at 7 p.m., half of that drug is gone, but half of it is still there. So it's going to take another several hours for the rest of it to kind of be metabolized and dissipate. A lot of people don't know that. So if you're having a coffee at 3 or 4 p.m., it's going to affect your sleep for sure. The more I exercise, the better I sleep. So being sore and having a lot of strenuous physical activity helps sleep, of course. And then leave a day or so during the week or on the weekends to recover. Recently, I saw a blank day on my to-do list of exercises on the app from my strength coach, and I emailed her and I said, "Hey, did you forget to put an exercise in for me today? I'm ready to work out." And she said, "No, you got to rest today. Today's a chill day, so that's important." These are some general supplements that I put together and I recommend to most people for general health. you'll hear people say, I want to get all my nutrition from nutrition, all my vitamins from my diet. It's really hard to do, especially the micronutrients, things like selenium and magnesium and zinc. These are hard things to get in your diet every day. I think if you didn't work and did that as a hobby, and you could really plan all your diets, all your meals appropriately, and have access to all the different wonderful fruits and vegetables and meats that you can do it, but it's really difficult. So I think just a general multivitamin that's age and gender specific is important. CoQ10 is an awesome antioxidant enzyme that improves cardiovascular health, your immune system, neurologic function, performance, really a long list of benefits from CoQ10. Vitamin D3 with K2 is really important. Most people, vitamin D level is less than optimal or low. Like 90% of people have a low vitamin D and not even realizing it. It's something that you don't really feel. You don't know until you have your labs tested and get your vitamin D level up with an inexpensive supplement. And then you go, wow, I am sleeping better. I do have less stress, or I'm able to recover better after these workouts. And then the K2 part, that is a vitamin that transports calcium into your bone and diverts it away from your blood vessels. So that's like hardening of the arteries, or cardiovascular, peripheral vascular disease comes from calcium that gets deposited. But if you take this K2 in addition to the vitamin D, it stores the calcium in your bone instead. Quercetin, similar to fisetin, if you've read or heard about that, these are senolytics. A senolytic is a supplement that gets rid of your senescent cells in your body. These are kind of zombie cells that float around your blood and cause inflammation that aren't metabolically active anymore. They're cells that are kind of waiting to die and be disposed of, but are still floating around your blood. Those cause inflammation and metabolic dysfunction, and important supplement for anti-aging. Omega-3 in fish oil, I just put some stars on it because I have another slide just on omega-3 fish oils. It's super important as anti-inflammatories and great for several different health items. Magnesium is great for stress. I take magnesium every night before I go to bed. So magnesium glycinate is good for sleep and anxiety. And then there's several other preparations of magnesium, but magnesium threonate is good for brain health, cognition, and neuroplasticity, is growing new brain cells and new connections within the brain. Resveratrol is a potent antioxidant that I mentioned before. It comes from red wine, but it's now isolated in a supplement form. Really important for anti-aging, DNA repair, improves insulin sensitivity, so protects you from diabetes. And then a lot of people should take a methylated B complex, a B vitamin. It has lots of different B vitamins in it. So this is just a short list of reasons that you should take methylated B complex. It's kind of a big topic, and there's people that devote their whole lives to B vitamins research and benefits and stuff. But there's a gene called the MTHFR, the mother effer gene, and that's how your body metabolizes folate. Folate is in enriched foods in the U.S. like rice and flour. These were put in these food products in the 1980s to avoid neurologic defects like birth defects in kids. But a lot of Americans cannot metabolize all the extra folate in their diet, and it causes inflammation in your body. And we can measure that with this homocysteine. That's a level that we check regularly. And if your homocysteine is elevated, there's a good chance you have this MTHFR mutation, and you can't metabolize regular folate, so you need to take methylfolate or methylated B vitamins. I look at this list, and I think I satisfy most things on this list, so we can use me as an example, but I do have the MTHFR mutation. My homocysteine was elevated. I took methylated B vitamins. It went way down, like way into a normal range. Then I forgot to refill it, and I was like, oh, let me just recheck my homocysteine level. It was back up, way out of the normal range, just from stopping my B vitamins. So now I'm on it forever. If you're over 50, if you exercise more than an hour a day, if you have fatigue or low energy, stress, and mood problems, digestive issues, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, it's hard to get all your B vitamins in your diet. If you have cognitive decline, simple methylated B complex can help with that. Skin, hair, and nails, pregnancy. We know B12 and folate are really important during pregnancy. So certain types of anemia can come from B vitamin deficiency. Here's a quick slide on omega-3 fatty acids. Again, this is fish oil supplements, so critical thing to take for improving cellular function as an anti-inflammatory that protects against chronic disease. So it's great for cardiovascular health in general. It decreases inflammation in the lining of your blood vessels. This endothelium, like I mentioned, improves arterial function. Fish oil alone will decrease your blood pressure about 10% without doing anything else. Improves your cholesterol profile, so your HDL will improve, and your LDL particle size. That you want large LDL particles. That's a type of the bad cholesterol. You can think of it like the large particles can't get through the endothelium and stick on the lining of your blood vessels. Omega-3s are great for brain health and cognitive function. They're neuro anti-inflammatory. Fish oils protect your metabolic health and insulin sensitivity. They protect your genes and your chromosomes. So the caps, we call telomere caps. This is the ends of your chromosomes that degrade over time and physically shorten. We can see that in chromosome testing. So it's important to keep those chromosomes healthy. There's many kinds of breast cancer that are decreased just with simple fish oil, like breast, colon, and prostate cancer. It stabilizes your stress hormones, cortisol. And these are just some forms of way to get the stuff in your diet: tuna, salmon, sardines, flax seeds, chia. The easiest way is really just to take a fish oil supplement, about 2 grams a day. We can measure your omega-3 and omega-6 levels. Omega-6 is the bad omega that we measure. That's in like fried foods and desserts, and these seed oils comes from omega-6. One quick slide on the benefits of creatine. This seems to be coming back full force. It was popular when I was 20 and in the gym all the time, and a lot of meatheads were taking creatine to gain muscle, but we now know that it's a really important neuro anti-inflammatory as well, and also important and beneficial in general mitochondrial health and metabolism. So of course it increases strength, it's neuroprotective, enhances mitochondrial function, and really we think about creatine as increasing your hydration and muscle volume. That was the last slide. So just to finish up, I would say eat real food, exercise every day, and manage your sleep and stress are ways to live long and strong. Thanks for your attention.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Barry. That was amazing. We'll go ahead and start with our questions. So our first is from Magda. She asks, if you're trying to reduce inflammation eating the way you suggest, is it important to count calories?
I think that's a great question. I think the nutritionist can put a better light or shed better light on counting calories. I don't think it's terribly important to count calories if you're eating the right foods. So, I like broccoli and cauliflower, steamed or roasted, or throw it on the barbecue, whatever. No one's going to get fat from eating healthy broccoli, cauliflower, and steamed vegetables. So I think it's more important. The quality of the food that you're eating is more important than the total calories.
Great. Our next question is, how did your career as an ED doctor impact your view on Healthspan and preventative medicine?
Oh, great question. Thank you. I was an emergency physician for a long time, over 25 years in Denver. That was fun. This is kind of me reborn. I'd say that this Healthspan stuff is 100% or 180 degrees opposite of emergency medicine. But I did see all the terrible downsides of people not taking care of themselves, whether it's physically, all the detrimental effects of metabolic dysfunction like diabetes. People have poor circulation and need amputations, or get terrible peripheral infections in their feet and legs from diabetes, or tons of heart disease, tons of stroke and heart attacks, and managing those things was always challenging. And really emotional health. When I started doing this stuff, a buddy of mine said, "What do you know about mental health or behavioral health?" And I was like, well, actually, most of what we do in the emergency department is behavioral and mental health, whether it's for behavioral health emergencies or just how you manage your lifestyle or your diet and exercise, or just the ability to take advice like from your cardiologist or your family doctor, stuff like that. So it gave me I think a well-rounded view of American health and the American health system, and this is a great way to implement all that stuff kind of on the opposite end.
Genevieve asks, what is your favorite B complex supplement?
My favorite one is the one that's affordable and safe, and the one that says it has in it what it says it does. So I look for stuff that says third-party tested on the bottle. And we hope that if it says third-party tested, that means that it's a quality product. A lot of people spend an enormous amount of money on supplements. I don't have a single favorite brand, but I just make sure it's third-party tested and it's affordable. I think that supplements are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you have to be careful when buying supplements. I personally don't think that the more you spend is the higher the quality necessarily. At the bottom end of that spectrum, it's absolutely true. There's a lot of garbage out there. Wouldn't buy any supplements from Walmart. Everything's from China. I walked the aisles at Walmart recently, and there was not a single bottle of their hundreds of supplements that say third-party tested on it. But like the Full Script line or website that we use, they have dozens of different lines of supplements, and they are very good at making sure they only carry quality products. But I think there's a lot of ways to get stuff that's affordable and effective.
Next question is, if we could redesign healthcare around Healthspan instead of disease management, what would you need to change first?
That's a good question. That's like a 10,000 foot view of medicine. I think getting all the crap out of our diet would be a huge step towards nutrition and overall health. All the seed oils and all the sugar, and it's everywhere, right? It's in everything that you want to eat, and 95% of the stuff at the grocery store has seed oils, pro-inflammatory foods. I think all the fast food stuff, even like Chick-fil-A, looks pretty healthy, right? It's chicken, broiled chicken with a bun. It has like 200 chemicals in it. 200 chemicals in a Chick-fil-A sandwich. So I would start with changing the standard American diet to something healthier.
Connie asks, any advice on how to transition kids to a Mediterranean diet from a processed diet?
Yeah, also a great question. I have 2 young adult kids, and we always just ate healthy and put healthy foods in front of them, and they figured out what they wanted to eat. But I know that's more of a challenge if you're starting behind the 8 ball or starting when they're 10 or 12 or 14 years old and they've been able to eat, anything they wanted or this sad standard American diet up until that point. But I would give kids the ability to choose. With most things in life, I would give them a choice. Do you want to go to bed now, or do you want to go to bed in 10 minutes? You choose. Stuff like that. I would put a wide variety of healthy fruits and vegetables in front of them, and change stuff gradually, like maybe one thing a week. And you can say, we're going to gradually phase the macaroni and cheese out of our diet. And if they see you eating healthier, then they're going to want to eat healthier. We don't have to take mac and cheese away today, but let's try next month. Which of these 10 vegetables do you want to try? Which of these delicious fruits do you love the most? Stuff like that.
For all of the supplements you've mentioned, what are your thoughts on liposomal delivery? Is it something we should prioritize?
I think it is for some supplements, and I'll defer to the nutritionists on liposomal delivery, but we know that many supplements are kind of broken down in the stomach before they get into your intestines and can be distributed in your blood. So with certain things, it's more important than others, but it is an important thing to look out for.
Kirsten is asking, are saying that there seems to be new research focused on women that notes that intermittent fasting is not optimal, especially for women 40 plus, and has several negative implications. What are your thoughts?
Well, Alex Miller sitting next to me is, we just talked about it right before we started. I can put her on screen and have her answer. But we were talking about that women may respond differently to certain levels of stress or hormesis than men. And I think, all things in moderation is a pretty good way to look at it. Whether it's intermittent fasting or different types of exercise or, different ways to stress your body. Cold plunge is probably okay, but Alex suggested that maybe at really low temperatures aren't as good for women. I think it's interesting, and I think this stuff changes all the time. And again, I think all things in moderation is probably a good way to live your life. But I think it's fascinating and really interesting. See where that goes.
And I think our last question will be, what are you most excited about in our Healthspan program?
Oh, the outcomes. I love meeting new people, and I try to show up for the Thrive evaluations, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how people change their overall look and outlook on health and wellness, and realize that eating garbage and not exercising just makes me feel worse. And doing what you guys suggest, exercising most days and eating really good, really makes me feel so much better. I sleep better, my stress is better, my relationships are better. Really, everything about life is improved when we follow these kind of simple guidelines. So I'm looking forward to seeing the change. And we've already seen several clients that are changing rapidly and seem much happier already. So it's awesome.
Great, thank you so much, Barry. These are our upcoming events. We have nutritionist Jen Summer Dirks discussing nutrition for exercise next week. Followed up by, we are trying to decide on our Masterclass topic for the first week of June, so hold tight for that one. Then we have Dr. Barry Sandler back June 11th for another deep dive into Healthspan. Our health coach, Vicki Kenny, is going to discuss mindset and resilience on June 17th. And Christine, our nutritionist, will discuss the bitter truth about sugar on June 26th. We have a Healthspan and Wellness Retreat in Costa Rica on November 1st through the 8th, and you can learn more at valehealth.org/retreat. And we also have a community activation event on May 31st. We will follow up with further details on that scheduling with Kelly Dantis this week. So hold tight for that as well. And I will send out further information on our WhatsApp.